If you died today, would your digital ghost's representation of you be more accurate than your own memories? Because we think that our internet personality is a representation of ourselves. But what happens if it's a cover that eventually forgets the face that's underneath? Imagine this world if you only saw people at their best. You never see anybody outside of their best clothes and hair, makeup, and posture, and you only see their best face. They're happy and funny, they're engaging, outgoing. That's the world that one version of us live within, and they are confined to an electric barrier. It's the electronic person that only who you're engaged with online can see, but that's not really you. We're all human. We all have negative traits, like everyone else around us. But you can curate a very specific narrative online that allows you to be whoever you want to be. And is it good for us? Because essentially what's happening is we are becoming a brand, and each brand has its own image and its own genre. And the digital image of yourself will follow you from the first click to your last click, especially because our online presence is monitored by every website we visit. And not to even mention that outward effect that it has on your social circle. We give infinite information about ourselves to these websites in order for them to hopefully jump on our brand, whether that be the platform, family, friends, or complete strangers. It all comes down to the fact that this is all a show. And how do we relate to these websites? Well, our brands create these feedback loops through advanced algorithms. And algorithms sort of reflect videos, pictures, and music that it thinks that we want to see. And that is similar to how we post. We often post what we think other people want to see. But in all likelihood, most people don't really pay too much attention to that. And it leaves us sort of a little bit misguided. Especially because if the best version of us is online, it would always leave us undershooting our potential in person. And this puts additional pressure onto us, which has not really existed up until pretty recently. So we made these perfect little cages to protect our identity, where our actions online almost matter more than our actions in person. Although there's a lot more people that don't understand what the repercussions of their actions online are. And this is why online literacy is so important, especially for the youth. Because we all know once it's on the internet forever. Up until now, I've kind of been talking about some people that you might see on Facebook or Instagram or other sorts of social medias. But within this cage that I'm talking about, what also exists is a certain level of anonymity, where we see people act in a way that's completely unfiltered from what they would do in normal life. And they continue to distance themselves from their personal life. And this allows them to say something that they would never say in person. This, my friends, is the mask, where we hide our true selves away from the public eye and contribute to the hostile side of the internet. And many times, these hostile people can gain thousands of followers because it sells, as people will watch if they agree and disagree. And the comment section can be quite volatile, but potentially not nearly as volatile as the person who is posting it behind the mask. Especially if this person is already kind of introverted or has a poor quality inner circle. But this leads to a deep and powerful thought. When the mask becomes more successful at reaching and popularity, then the person who's behind it begins to serve the mask. Or in other words, these algorithms push out contentious content. And that person who's generating it receives attention that they would never otherwise get. So that person will follow that identity that's allowed them to get that platform. It's sort of kind of doubling down because algorithms don't reward nuance, they reward noise. Whatever it is that gets people talking. And it's kind of hard not to double down when you're getting rewarded for anonymous behaviors. I mean, on one hand, it is important to be able to speak out without real repercussion, especially when you're criticizing constructively something that needs to be criticized. However, there are certain people that take advantage of the ability to scream into the void. It is not always for a constructive or beneficial reason. In this digital world that we find ourselves in at the precipice of the automative age, we should consider to realign our focus. We're split between being and representing, and this has eliminated our ability just to be. It is also possible that this causes a massive psychological toll on us when we're trying to maintain this identity that really isn't us. And it almost kind of becomes as though we have two personalities in our head. One is physical and the other one is completely electronic. Consider for a second that notion that some people sometimes say that when I leave work, I leave my work at work and I never bring it home. That is nearly impossible to do in the long term because when you have two separate behaviors, it is almost certain that one will begin to bleed into the other. Imagine for a second that your digital being wants to do whatever it can to become a physical one. so it leaches through the screen to you. And we are compliant to allow this to happen because it's so damn addictive. It provides us with this short acting rush. And that's the same rush that keeps us coming back and fostering this digital being. Our online presence has created a dichotomy of being. Never in recorded history has this happened before. And now, as it's happening, we have to realign our interests and become internet literate so we know what we're putting out there. Because if you only post negativity, that's what will surround your digital being, and that will leach into your physical world. So I'll end with a question to you, and please answer honestly, even if it's just to yourself. When was the last time that you did anything exciting or life-changing and didn't feel the urge to document it for your digital self? And I'll leave you with one more thought to ponder. If you feel as though your identity is stuck between the physical and the digital world, and you want to take back what's yours, take the mask off. Even if you feel as though it is exposing yourself to your family, to your friends, to the world, or to the machine. And allow yourself to just be. But that is it for this episode of the Fractured Machine Show. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell everybody that you know by sharing this if you agreed with the message. If you have any sort of arguments to this matter, please comment. I would really like to read them. And who knows, you might not just change my mind, but you might change the entire world. Thank you once again, and we'll see you next time. Much love.